looks like everything is good now. So
Okay,
if you're in
okay,
chat,
guys.
please confirm that you can hear both of us, me, Andrei, and our guest, Sergey.
Sorry about that. So it looks like we missed the whole beginning of the stream, and it will not be on the recording. So let me just reiterate the whole thing. We have some good news on the production side, on the team side. And before that, we spoke about languages that we will support. So in terms of languages, the game currently supports through the developer blocks English, Russian, Japanese, Chinese, and German. We may eventually progress to French and Korean. And in terms of the game releasing, we think we'll start with 4 or 5 languages, and then we'll try to go up to 7. But 7 is pretty much the most that we commit to, because we will change quite a lot of text during the early access phase. And the more languages we support, the more difficult it becomes integrating all the changes every couple of weeks. In terms of other languages that we do not plan to support, for example, Spanish or let's say Turkish or Polish, through Steam Workshop, anyone will be able to do localization mod, and then we see that a certain mod has some traction, then we will follow this up and then we'll support it. So some other news on the production side, we finally managed to hire the developer that we were looking for. His name is Nikita, and after a few months of looking, we found the person who can code and who understands game design and who will work with our team developing the event system. What that means is that eventually in the mods, you will be able to create new events through a visual editor, putting together blocks, and you don't need programming skills for that. But to build those blocks, we need to write quite a lot of code between the actual game and then what you will see in this editor. This means that we will move with the events much faster. This also means that you guys will be able to modify the game uh, in a much more convenient way. So in that sense, Nikita will bridge the gap between game design and programming, allowing our game designer to move faster and not spend time on coding, which he totally hates, and I understand him from that side. And then what else, Andre? What other updates do we have? So we
So this week was spent on encyclopedia layout and the way how to organize information to show to players different ways and categories. We were searching for a right solution, and I think we more or less found this, and it's available in current build. So we've separated the information into 3 main sections, main books about the rooms, and they have their own topics. For example, first one is Book of Rund and its dwellers, another one is of items and crafting, and last one of Spire and disciples. So they'll contain information about the lore, about the world, and also about the mechanics and how to play a game. So it's basically all.
it's a combination of manual and encyclopedia and Wikipedia and different names. But the main thing is that you're able to move from one section to another, exploring the connections. So you could say, I'd like to see who lives in the swamps. Then you see the 4 creatures that live in the swamp, and then you move to explore the details of a particular creature. Then you can see that from this creature you can obtain certain items, and then you look at those items. Let's look at the mermaids. So from the mermaid we can get mermaid's tentacles, and then if you go to mermaid's tentacles, then we can see the alchemic properties that this item has. So basically, we are building this encyclopedia so that you're able to navigate the world of the game easily, and you will not miss the connection between the creatures, the ingredients, the alchemic recipes, the alchemic ingredients, and all of the different mechanics that are built into the game. It took us some time to define the structure, and initially we thought maybe we'll have a different tutorial and a different encyclopedia, but having encyclopedia for the sake of encyclopedia is not really exciting, so we're putting everything together, and you will be able to read about, let's say, character states and character relationships in the same section. On the other side, some parts of this encyclopedia will be already open when you launch the game, and certain sections will be updated based on when you encounter certain creatures or certain items. So until you meet a new creature, that creature will not be listed in the encyclopedia. That means that as you progress with the game, you expand your encyclopedia, but that encyclopedia keeps being developed from one campaign to another. So when you, let's say, finish one, you move to the next campaign, then you will have already a bigger encyclopedia, and then a bigger, and then eventually, you may open, after 100 hours in the game, you may open the whole encyclopedia. Why this is important? This is important because we will keep updating the game with the extra content, and what that means is that at certain point we will say, hey, with this update we're throwing in a new creature and a couple of new items, and having an encyclopedia up to date will help you to understand what exactly was added new.
So basically, this encyclopedia is your personal journal of all your findings in the world. So you'll be exploring the world through encyclopedia as well. It will help you track your progress and to be always in touch with what's going on and what creatures have been added. So you need to go and find it in the world if you want to find them all.
One other thing for the encyclopedia, as we worked on the encyclopedia, we realized that we got to use reference for scale to show you the size of different creatures. So we brought that back, and now if you look, for example, at Fluter, here's the Fluter from Stored Lands. At the lower right corner, you can see the shown next to a human for scale. That allows you to more precisely determine the size of a particular creature. So here's the forest cat. Forest cat is not really a cat. I mean, not a cat-sized creature, but it's pretty big. It's more like a lion.
It's a big
I
cat.
think, yeah. I think some of the obvious examples would be, for example, the many-handed, which is here. So you can see that it's double the height of a human being. So all of that is meant to provide more precision in how we explain to you the world of the game.
It also adds to the immersion, so you can relate how big this creature is actually. It's just not just randomly sized.
And we're throwing in also some sketches on the same page from our concept art work process. So as we create certain creatures, we generate quite a lot of art, and some of that art will be shown here. You can see that we prototype separately different parts of the forest cat, and eventually set on this and that, and that just opens up the world a little bit more. On the other news from the production side, we also started to work with a games writer. His name is Josue Manchan. He comes from Madrid. He's in the games industry for 15 years. He's been working on a lot of Pendula games. He did the Spanish translation for Obradin and Papers, Please and Gremlins Inc. We know him for a long time. He will be working as an external writer on the game, and right now he will spend the next months diving into what we already have in the game, understanding the lore, the setup, the whole geography of the world. And from about mid-April, he will start looking into updating and editing character biographies, as well as specific descriptions of different fractions, as well as creating new events. So some of the events, I don't know if you read today's development blog, but some of the things that we discussed with Josue are the situations and events like what happens when you come, a disciple comes to you and he's indebted. He carries certain debt. Or what happens if a disciple comes and she committed the crime somewhere? How do we connect that? So that will lead to a few events being created from someone, let's say, having in their biography the fact that they committed certain crime in a certain region. So if you send that disciple back to that city, then there is a higher chance that this disciple is arrested. To some debt collectors following a disciple back to your spire, knocking on your gates, and then asking you either to pay back the debt or give up the runaway disciple. So all of that, like basically, that's the intersection of narrative design, game design, writing, and coding certain events in the event system. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that will.
Yeah, all these small events will make this world more alive, because it won't be so static, and it will add some new interesting twists to your campaigns each time you'll start the game.
Now in terms of battles, and in terms of let's say how people how do you resolve the conflicts on the map? This is an indirect control strategy. So what will happen is you'll send out a party on a quest, and then that party will make their own decisions. So if they encounter a monster, or if they encounter some animals, if they're attacked by some animals, then they will make a decision on which spells to use, which inventory items to use, and how to address this situation, basically. And then you'll learn about it once they return to the Spire. It's pretty rare, and it's not a creature that will live in large party. Uh, so we know that this swamp beast camouflages as a log and mostly stays in the swamp. Sometimes it may reach out and go out and hunt. It's dangerous. It can kill humans. It can kill forest cats. So it's a considerably powerful enemy, and we know that this creature should look threatening. So the first concepts they mostly focused on camouflage, and we achieved the look, but then we lost the threatening angle, and the creature looked just like an old log with some arms and legs. So we had to go back and rework the whole posture. And the final piece that we developed was the eyes, and whether or not the eyes are how the eyes are even connected to this creature. So we're still now we made a decision about the eyes, and now the next step will be a more detailed line art, and following that we'll go into the coloring process. So I think eventually, a couple of weeks from now, you should be able to see the first coloring options for this creature.
That's right. What else? What else do we have? I'm loading.
Probably like swamps on the global map.
Yep, I'm loading the campaign, and I'll find some nice swamps to show. So we have a couple of minutes while it's loading. From a game design perspective, we're waiting for finalization of quest report system. So I'm from my side, from UI, can start working on a proper report visualization and how a report form will have already some drafts, but it's not in the game yet, so hope to see it in the upcoming weeks to show the main tool of storytelling in this game. I think the main informative block that'll help to track what's going on with your groups that you're sending to the quests. So let's find some nice swamps to show you. Okay, here is a daytime swamp, and also you can see that there is some new creatures that finally added to the actual game logic. They're not just the Wikipedia encyclopedia entries like our new swamp beast. It's already on a global map. Earth leeches, creepers, and drowners, they all inhabit this nice and pretty swamp. It's currently in a sketch state. It's colored sketch for a swamp, but we count it as a final iteration, so we just need to polish it and it'll be done and we'll switch to other biomes to finish. For now
And as
we're
always,
yep.
the challenge with these biomes is that uh, we need to connect the map and what you see on the map and how you see it on the map. So we need to connect that to how you see the full expanded biome, and not going directly, or let's say making a small picture of what you have when you look into this, like picking up several key characteristics of that biome and then reproducing them on the global map so that you can recognize them and say, oh, okay, all right, this is the swamp.
Yep, so
And
you can
that's
see right now
that's a work that
encyclopedia
takes
with
a
a
lot of
swamp
fine tuning.
and actual map. So they have some similarities, so you can find how they're connected with all these trunks and colors and all overall swampy feeling to them.
And sometimes it takes a lot of revisions just for small stuff. You know, you put some little touches here and there, and then you finally see, okay, it's connected, or not there yet, and then you keep working until it's connected completely.
Yep. What else we're
Do you have
trying?
also the concept for the new farmlands? I think I saw it this morning.
Um, yes. Let's find some areas with farmlands. Yes. So here is a sketch for farmlands. Uh, it's uh, east side of ruined area. It's more populated with humans. There is empire and there's all these villages with farms. So we need to show them as well. This version is more integrated with biomes that connect to it. So it's much more subtle in the color. It's not so bright and saturated right in your eyes like a previous iteration. We just need to add some decorations on top of these farmlands, some bushes and trees to support this biome. For now, it's a little bit empty.
And it's also the irony is that while the image of this populated land or cultivated land generally is a friendly image, to us, it's a dangerous place. We should not visit that place without having the clothing sets and the social magic skills that will allow us to go undetected. Otherwise, try walking through the fields as a disciple and you'll end up arrested very quickly.
Yeah, all the areas around Spire are dangerous. On the left side, there is dangerous Empire. On the right side, there is distorted lands with all the crazy creatures and monsters that can eat your disciples or just kill them. So, world is dangerous place to be when you're rogue mage.
Uh, what, so what else is new?
For the map, that's all I think. Tiny changes to the water in the game was added. We decided to make it much darker, so it's not so bright spot on the map as well as a farmland. Um, from interface point of view, on the research, I've started working on an interface of researching skill trees and unlocking new knowledges, but it's far from perfect. It's just a placeholder. We decide who will be researching and what topic it will be researching, and that's it for now. Later it will be improved to add more details, what exactly we want to research. For example, if it's mineralogy, we will be working on a specific mineral to research and unveil its properties and how to mine it.
Then you also have the new indicator on characters. I'm not sure if it's
Um,
in the build already. The low health.
let's see if we'll be able to to lower the health of our mage enough so this indicator will appear. We'll just scroll the time and we'll see how
So
he's slowly dying.
the background for this is that um, each character has health, and there's nominal health, and then there's actual health. So you could say have, for example, a nominal health of 20 and the actual health of 16, meaning that you're down 4 points. Any other disciple can bring it up except for the mage. For the mage, whenever health goes down, that's a one-way street. What we discussed as we were playing the current version is that we think it's important to show you that a character's health is below nominal. And so when that happens, now you'll have this little red broken heart showing up.
Yeah, so it's one of the main uh, indicators of how long you've left to live, so it's quite important to track it.
It is dangerous. Yeah, absolutely.
And he's super happy but hungry, but he's not
He's
dying
not
yet.
losing the health, bastard. Okay. Anyway, so and I think the last updates for today is that have we spent the last couple of weeks on the design side working on the event system, working on the quest log system. A lot of that is invisible work. A lot of that is rewiring how characters make decisions and how the results of their travels are presented to you. Um, it's all groundwork. It's all
Under the hood,
preparing.
yeah. So
Yeah,
when we'll be
preparing the
able to
game for
connect
the
it
future.
to the interface, then it'll be definitely a big step for us to towards shipping the game. I think it'll be one of the biggest
Well, towards
steps we'll
populating the game
accomplish.
with actual content. Yeah, yeah. Because the beauty of the game comes from characters making decisions, and then you seeing the results of those decisions one by one. That together form a story. And so to form that story, we now work on all those basic things that have to connect together. So from the design side, that work is not very visual right now.
Okay, looks like he's not going to die soon. He's quite healthy.
That's fine. On the minor side of the updates, a new secondary skill falling under travel magic or travel skill. This is called swimming, and swimming will help you across large bodies of water. Swimming will also help with procuring certain things that are based in the water. For example, we currently work on not a plant, it's like an animal similar to oyster, but bigger, that lives underwater. And so to go and collect such creatures, your character has to have the secondary skill swimming.
It'll greatly improve the chance that you'll be able to collect the resources underwater and to interact with these creatures. But I think it's not 100% required. It just
No,
improves the
nothing. I mean,
chance.
nothing in the game except for the ancient language has a is 100% requirement. It's just that your success rate will significantly increase, which could be the difference between sending people out and not sending.
That's right. So yeah, it looks like it didn't. The build is outdated and icon is also from the previous iteration. I need to go and find out what went wrong, where I missed it. So not this time.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for today. Sorry again about the problems with the sound at the beginning and for maybe not that great quality of sound coming from me over the Slack connection, but
Better than nothing.
we'll yeah. We'll try to set it up, and then we'll see what we have to show you next week.
Good. And
Sure.
thank
Okay.
you for
See ya.
watching,
Yeah.
and see you next week.